it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. And we are live and direct following Royals baseball. Another frustrating loss for the boys in blue, 2-1 in walk-off fashion to the Cleveland Guardians this afternoon on a chilly day in Cleveland. Series is even at 1. Rubber game will be tomorrow afternoon. So we are live and direct until 6 o'clock here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com and in living color on our YouTube channel. You can catch us live on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, name of the channel. You can also find us on Facebook at WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero. Delighted to be with you on this Wednesday. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. With you until 6 o'clock and plenty to discuss. Following that Royals loss to Cleveland, we'll get there. Royals won last night, 4-2, got the series started on a high note. But today, it is hard in baseball to win games when you only score one run. And it is hard in the game of baseball to score a lot more than one run when you only get one hit. That's right. To quote Harry Doyle, Bob Uecker's character in Major League. Well, kind of quote him. I can't all the way quote him. This is a family show after all, but they only got one blankety-blank hit. And that don't cut it. Not even with 8 other base runners the Royals achieved, thanks to the free pass. 9 base runners, base runner per inning. But the big hit outside of Carter Jensen's early home run was lacking. Not just a big hit, any hit. That was the only hit. That was it. That was the one. And the Royals did not get one for the final 7 innings. Left some runners on base. And Cleveland put a rally together with a couple of singles and a walk in the 9th to win the game 2-1. Again, the rubber game of that series will be tomorrow. Got some thoughts on the Royals. Everybody wants to dump on the lineup because they weren't good today. Already seeing the frustration on the text line, seeing it in the live chat on YouTube. We'll get there. We'll get some of your thoughts as we go along, and we'll get to that Royals game here as we get started. Plenty of baseball to come on the show today. Also going to talk a lot of college basketball. The season is in the books. The Michigan Wolverines are your national champions. I've always found it to be narratively satisfying when the best team wins. I know we all love an underdog. We all love an upset. NCAA tournament is full of great stories of the Goliaths getting tripped up by a David at the last. North Carolina State in 1983, Villanova in 85, UConn over Duke in 99. Lots of great stories like that in NCAA tournament history. But I have always found it to be narratively satisfying when the best team wins, because it makes you feel like all the college basketball you spent November to February watching was actually worth your time. And everything you learned and everything you thought from November to February has been verified. I was saying back in January, early January, that if your bracket didn't have one of Arizona, Michigan, or Duke winning the national championship, your bracket was wrong. Why I went away from that at the very last and picked UConn to win as we were wrapping up the show yesterday, well, that's a little something called overthinking. But Michigan wins the national championship game. We'll talk all about that. We'll get some reaction to that game, which we're among friends here. We can be honest. That game was butt, wasn't it? That game stunk. That was not a pleasant game of basketball to watch. And I'm not like the person that says, oh, well, they got to get the Final Four out of the domes because it's impossible to shoot in those big, big arenas. Well, some people make it shake. I do think there was pretty obviously one end that was harder to shoot on during this particular Final Four than the other, and we saw that kind of play a role in last night's game. But no, last night's game it stunk. It was ugly. It was grabby. It was physical. It was muddy. It was not pleasant. And that was the kind of game it had to be for UConn to even have a chance. And they did. They did and they didn't. Right? Because even when they're down 4 with the ball in the final 40 seconds, and I still never felt like they were going to win the game. It never at any point in the second half, once Michigan went up by double digits, it never felt like UConn was going to win the game. Never felt like they had a chance. And that's a credit to Michigan that they could do that while playing worse than any team has ever played and still won an NCAA tournament game. It's a pretty remarkable stat, but it's true. So we'll talk about that. We'll get some reaction to last night's national championship game as well. And also, college basketball season doesn't stop. Transfer portal is open today, and some surprising day of portal opening entries for both Kansas and Kansas State. We'll take a look at the state of both of those rosters, and more broadly, as the transfer portal opens, we got to come up with another name for the transfer portal. We got to start calling it what it really is. Because people rant and rave about the transfer portal. It's terrible for the sport. It's terrible for fans. Makes me less of a fan of the game. And look, I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan. If that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. But if we were more honest about what the transfer portal really is, then we could get to a solution that would make people happy. We could get to a solution that would fix the problem with the portal that is perceived to be the problem by so many fans. If we would just be honest about what it actually is. If we could be honest about what it is, we could be honest about the fix. So we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show as well. We got a great guest coming your way on the program today. Michael Swain of Fog.net. He's been busy. He went to KU football practice this morning, but also transfer portal's open, and Kansas is going to have to be quite active in the portal this year to build a roster for what some people suspect could be Bill Self's last hurrah. We'll talk to Michael Swain, Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He'll join us for Jayhawk Weekly at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. And we'll have all of our typical Wednesday shenanigans. We've got 580 Sports Talk, or Tuesday shenanigans. Did I say Wednesday at the beginning of the show? Goodness gracious. Today is Tuesday. Your boy's a little under the weather, and the brain is cloudy, and I apologize. I said Wednesday right off the rip. It's a Tuesday. My apologies. It's a Tuesday. We got headlines. We're going to do Random Question Tuesday because it's Tuesday. We got our first What Is Wrong With You of the week coming up at the 4 o'clock hour as well. So on and so forth. But before we get into it, I want to tell you a couple of things. First of all, there are many ways you can get involved. Well, I guess there's two main ways you can get involved with the show today. Make your voice heard on 580 Sports Talk. If you're watching the show live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. There's a live chat. Hop in that live chat. Say hello. Interact amongst yourselves and your fellow listeners. See Mark H. in the chat today. Christopher, Ryan, Andrew, Jayhawker is into the chat as well. Appreciate seeing you guys. Excited to talk some sports with you gentlemen today, and hope to see more of you gentlemen and ladies. Doesn't have to be just dudes in the chat. Ladies, hop in. Talk some sports with us on a live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. And you can also text the program today. The text line is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. That is the number, and that is also the number to text if you would like to win $1,000 today. Now, it's not that simple, but we got the keywords for our 1K a day contest here on 580 WIBW. It's real simple. I give you the keyword at the top, or we're close to the bottom right now than the top of every hour. I give you the keyword, and you text the keyword to 785-272-9429 within the hour. So the keyword I'm going to give you right now is good for another 35 minutes. And the keyword is coin. And I read off the Tuesday list, so I know I'm right. Coin, C-O-I-N, coin is your keyword for the 1K a day sweepstakes. Text the word coin. That's all. Just coin. Nothing else. Don't put anything else in the text. Just the word coin to 785-272-9429. Do it once this hour up until 4 o'clock with that keyword. and you'll be registered for your chance to win $1,000 today from your friends at 580 WIBW. Give you a new keyword next hour. So let's get started on 580 Sports Talk. Let's start with some baseball, and I'll start with this, a bit of a rhetorical question for you on the other side of the radio. If I were to tell you that there was a team that hit the ball harder than any other team in baseball and was top 5 in baseball in barrel percentage and hard hit percentage and top 10 in baseball in chase rate, meaning they're one of the 10 best teams in the league at not swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone. So, hit it harder than anybody else, barrel it, and hit it hard at a top 5 rate, and chase at a top 10 rate, or don't chase at a top 10 rate, as it were. You would think that was a pretty good offense, right? You would say to yourself, oh, yeah, that's probably a really good offense. That sounds like maybe that's Milwaukee, or maybe that's New York. Somebody else who's come out of the gate really hot. Probably a team like that's doing that kind of damage offensively. But you'd think that was a good offense, right? You wouldn't be like clamoring to fire the hitting coach after one bad game or anything like that. Obviously, if I've asked you the question rhetorically, you understand and have probably figured by now that the offense I'm referring to is the Kansas City Royals offense. And that was true about the Royals entering today. They were number 1 in baseball in average exit velocity, 4th in barrel percentage, 5th in hard hit percentage, and 8th in chase rate. And we saw the last of those offensive skills manifest itself for the Royals today against Gavin Williams, who led the American League in walks last year. Against Williams and the Guardians bullpen, the Royals today drew 8 walks. Now, in the Royals' history, they have not been a team particularly that draws a lot of walks. It has never been an ongoing strength of Royals teams. Going all the way back to even, Whitey Herzog's really good teams in the 70s and the championship team in 85 and good winning teams through the 80s, a little bit into the early 90s. And then again in the mid-2010s when the Royals had some good clubs. Walk rate, never a strength. Never a long-term strength of the Royals organization. Just not something they've leaned into. This lineup that the Royals have assembled is, with one notable exception, and the exception is Salvador Perez, and you let him be the exception because he's Salvador Perez, and you're not going to teach the old dog new tricks. But this is a lineup that broadly makes good swing decisions. Don't swing a lot of pitches outside of the strike zone. Top 10 in the league in that stat. And some of the players that the Royals have added to the lineup in recent years have bolstered the Royals' ability in that statistic. Jonathan India has been one of the best in the game at not chasing pitches. It doesn't mean never, right? I'm sure, as I mentioned, these guys, you can think off the top of your head, like Isaac Collins, one of the best chase rates in baseball last year. And you're thinking to yourself, well, Isaac Collins swung and missed at a curveball in the dirt for strike 3 today. Yeah, he did. But we're talking broadly here. We're talking about a 162-game sample. We're not talking about a 9-inning sample. That's what one of this lineup's strengths can be. Their ability to stay off of pitches outside the strike zone. And that's a good strength to have because it gives you opportunities on days where you are also facing a pitcher in Gavin Williams, who didn't just lead the league in walks last year, but also had one of the best opponent batting averages in baseball last year. He's one of those they call effectively wild, and he certainly was that today for the Guardians. But on a day where you're facing pitchers that are tough to hit, and let's be honest, this is 2026. It's never been more difficult to get a hit in the history of baseball than it is right now. That means the value of being able to watch ball 4 and get on base has probably never been higher because the goal is not to get a hit, right? The goal is not to make an out. There are a lot of different ways not to make an out. I think this Royals lineup has a chance to be as good at not making outs as any Royals lineup in recent memory because they have that skill set collectively. Again, with the Salvador Perez exception, but you live with him waving at sliders in the dirt because he's going to hit 30 home runs. That's good. The problem is when you do get pitches in the zone, you got to do damage. You've got to do damage on those pitches. And today, the Royals had opportunities to do some damage on pitches in the zone when they got into good counts. They got themselves into deep counts, got themselves into full counts, counts where the pitch has to be a strike. And they did not take advantage of those opportunities. Now, moment in the fourth inning, and he swings through a cutter in the zone for strike 3. Now, look, it's two sides to this. It's a good pitch by Gavin Williams. That cutter, he hadn't really thrown that the first time through the order, so that was the first time Caglione was really seeing that pitch. It's a little bit of a change off his fastball, which comes in there at 96. Effectively, Williams has 3 different fastballs. Like, he's good. There's no shame in getting one hit by Gavin Williams. He's good. But that was a moment where Cags got himself into a good count, to his credit, and did not make contact, not to his credit. Another big moment, top of the 8th. Royals get runners to second and third with 2 outs for the kid, Carter Jensen. And Jensen swinging as good a bat as anybody right now. He had the lone hit for the Royals today. An absolute seed through the cold air. I think 112 miles an hour off the bat into right field for his second home run in as many days. And Jensen got 2 pitches over the heart of the plate that he swung through. Those are the moments where you've got to capitalize. And you create those moments, you create more of those moments by being good at the thing that the Royals have proven and that their hitters individually over time have proven to be good at, not chasing pitches outside the strike zone. That's good. That lessens the chance that you are going to go diving after a slider that's in the other batter's box for strike 3. But when you get in a good count, you got to make the opponent pay. And so far through 11 games, if there's anything that's holding the Royals back, to me, if there's anything that's keeping them from having a better record, anything that has their 5-6 start feeling frustrating right now, it is that they have not often enough come up with the contact in those situations. You got to put the bat to the ball. And Cags and Jensen, the kids, young guys, learning moments for those guys, hopefully. But those were opportunities in the 4th. It was a chance for the Royals to break the game open a little bit. In the 8th, it was a chance to take the lead back. And the Royals missed those opportunities. And on a night where the bullpen was short, or a day, where the bullpen was short, right now they're operating a man short anyway because they're carrying technically Lewinder Avila as a reliever, and he wasn't going to pitch probably today. 70 pitches on Saturday. I'm sure they'd want to stay off him 3 days later. He maybe could have given an inning in an emergency, but right now he's effectively just kind of on the roster as a 6th starter. So the Royals are down to 7 relievers, and then after Strahm and Ersteg pitched yesterday, they weren't going to go. So then you're down to 5 relievers. Daniel Lynch did a fine job in relief of Noah Cameron. Actually, really encouraged by Daniel Lynch. I thought he looked really sharp. He kind of like everybody in the Royals bullpen. There's been one iffy outing, but largely more. I still think more good work than bad for a lot of these guys. Nick Mears really strong in the 8th. He's been excellent. But eventually it was going to get to a point where John Schreiber is going to have to get some lefties out. And that was only going to go one way. I'm with you on this one. Do not trust him against left-handed bat. I just don't. I watched John Schreiber against the lefty. I expect the outcome that the Royals got today. That's what I expect. Obviously, Macatero doesn't. Macatero trusts John Schreiber. Went to him in a save situation earlier this year when all his plus side guys were down. That was opening day at home. It was a home open. And Schreiber got the job done. Schreiber against the whole pass of lefties, and the Guardians can platoon and go left, right with the best of them, the way they're constructed. That, to me, felt like it was only going to go one way, and that's the way it went. So frustrating day at the office, to be sure. I like some of the skills that this Royals offense has, but you have to capitalize on the opportunities those skills give you by doing damage in the strike zone. And the Royals missed those chances today. And that's why they're 5-6 and not 6-5 with the rubber game of the series coming tomorrow. We'll get your reaction to that game here on the other side of this first time out. Again, 785-272-9429 is the text line number. You can also comment on the live chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. We'll come back. We'll get some thoughts on last night's national championship game. Hail to the victors, Michigan, national champs for the first time since 1989. Plus, transfer portal open today. We'll get into that. Michael Swain of Fog.net, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Random Question Tuesday, more baseball headlines. We're jam-packed today. We're with you until 6 o'clock here on 580 Sports Talk. Again, a reminder that the keyword for this hour on our Win 1K a Day sweepstakes on 580 WIBW is coin, C-O-I-N. C-O-I-N, coin. Text that word to 785-272-9429 before the bottom of this hour and get yourself registered to win. I'm saying that for the benefit of one texter who made a very unfortunate typo. That, or they were referring to me as a very old-fashioned racial slur, which I don't think they were doing. I think that was just a fat finger. And so for the benefit of that texter, and for any of you who would like to enter to win $1,000 today, I'm going to remind you that the word of the day is C-O-I-N. Word of the hour, excuse me. C-O-I-N. Coin. Coin is the word. Text 785-272-9429. Got this text in from the 785. Starting to think JJ Piccolo ain't it. This Royals bullpen. Tough day for Schreiber in particular. Lynch was really good. Mears was excellent. And Schreiber had trouble against left-handed hitters, which you'd like that to maybe not have mattered so much. He was going to have to pitch at some point in this game. He was going to have to get a lefty out, and he did not do his job today. But one run in 2 2/3 from the Royals bullpen. Lynch came in, I thought did a really nice job. Mears has been excellent. So tough one. Schreiber's got to wear the goat horns, but again, maybe get more than one hit. At the end of the day, you frustrated with bullpen all you want, but one hit and one run doesn't win a lot of baseball games, even with 8 walks. There's 9 base runners, but you know what makes it hard? Cash base runners in when you strike out 13 times. That is too many. Other thoughts from the listeners. Andrew in the live chat on YouTube says 8 walks, couldn't get another run, just disappointing ball. At least Noah Cameron showed up. Yeah, good start for Noah Cameron. Had a really good changeup, I thought, to righties today. Has allowed just one run in each of his first 2 starts, and looks like he's hit the ground running. It almost feels like an extension of his 2025 so far, which has been really, really nice to see from Noah Cameron at the back of that bullpen. Jayhawker in with a comment in the live chat. Royals hit like C.B. Buckner calls balls and strikes. Yeah, today that's the case for sure. Royals have a better sense of the strike zone than C.B. Buckner. I know that much. They have a better sense, but then who doesn't, right? The Bard is in. Christopher in the YouTube live chat. The game could have lasted till 10 and they wouldn't have scored again. While the O was a dud, Noah C was a stud. They paid for short arms in the pen. Yes, they did. Having to go to Schreiber there instead of, would have been nice to have Strom available. Not be down to just one lefty. And look, I don't think Quatrero mismanaged the bullpen given who he had. You go and get the most important outs. It's a 1-run game. You go to Lynch to get the lefties in that spot. Otherwise, the 9th inning might not matter. There might not be a bottom of the 9th. You got to go get the lefties when you can go get the lefties. So I don't think Q handled it wrong. I just think that sometimes when you're short arms on the plus side, that is what can happen. Andrew points out that the Royals are 3-2 now against the American League Central, 2-4 against their National League opponents. Even if they lose tomorrow, they'll be 500 against the division with a weekend series against the White Sox to get right. That is a positive way to look at it. And they got a chance to win the series tomorrow. Joey Cantillo on the mound for Cleveland, and it'll be Cole Reagans on the bump for Kansas City. You like that pitching matchup, certainly, for KC. To the texter who I gave a little bit of a hard time to just a moment ago, I did get your text back. No worries. We're all good. Typos happen. Fat fingers happen. And I hope you win. I hope you win the 1,000, man. I hope every $1,000 winner is a listener of this show. I really and truly do. Again, the word is coin. 785-272-9429. National championship game last night. Michigan won it with 5 transfers in their starting lineup, which is strange to me because all I ever hear is how much NIL makes it so all those transfers care about is their money, and they don't really care about winning, and they're not in it for the name on the front of the uniform. Could that be wrong? Could that possibly be wrong? Michigan showing that the key to it is getting really good players that fit together. And yeah, having the money cannon that is Michigan and Michigan athletics behind your transfer efforts helps a lot. Michigan's got a lot more resources than most. That's how they're able to go out and get Yaxel Lendeborg, who was such a difference maker for them all season. But goes to show, Michigan was 8-24 before Dusty May got to Ann Arbor. And now they're the national champions. And it could just be that Dusty May is that guy. Dusty May had Florida Atlantic in a Final Four. You're never going to hear about Florida Atlantic basketball ever again for the rest of your life. And he had that program in the Final Four. And he had them a buzzer beater away from the national championship game. Florida Atlantic. Dude can coach. Dude's really good. And he and his staff put together a remarkable roster. Sometimes it's that simple, right? You take a guy who won at a place where it's really, really hard to win. You take nothing and make something. Well, when you get something, you can turn it into that. You turn into a juggernaut. And that's what Michigan was this year. But the other takeaway from last night, and we have to be honest about this. We can be honest about this, I think, as friends. That game stunk, didn't it? And it stunk by design. And it stunk by Dan Hurley's design. I want to be clear. That was the kind of game it had to be for UConn to win. It was kind of my vision for how the game was going to look. As I broke it down and why I picked UConn on the show yesterday, after insisting for months that if you picked anybody but Arizona, Michigan, or Duke, and you were going to be wrong. And then there's Michigan at the end against UConn. I picked UConn the last day. And work yourself into a shoot, brother. But that was the game that I thought Dan Hurley was going to turn it into. It was physical. It was grabby. It was slow. It was ugly. And the other thing that happened that I thought was going to benefit UConn was that Yaxel Lendeborg didn't play well because he was moving around like he was 55 years old. Lendeborg was largely useless in the game. He had one spurt where you saw, like, okay, yeah, this is why he was one of the best players in the country. This is why he was an All-American. And it came like with about 5 minutes to go. He scored back-to-back buckets. He helped Michigan push the lead back to double figures. That was it. Other than that, Lendeborg was a passenger. And Michigan's vaunted three-point shooting, they'd made 10 or more threes in all of their tournament games going into last night. They made 2 last night on their 15 attempts. You told me that was going to happen, I would have said, oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the game I see coming. UConn got the game played at their pace, and Michigan didn't make threes, and Lendeborg was largely a non-factor. UConn did it again. Dan Hurley did it again. What I did not account for, and should have, spent the whole year accounting for, was that everybody else for Michigan is really good too. And UConn getting into foul trouble certainly did not help. But when that game got to halftime and Michigan had not made a three and Lendeborg is moving around like Red Fox and Michigan's winning anyway, that made me feel like UConn did not have a chance in the second half. And then UConn started shooting into the end where nobody could make a three-pointer. I'm telling you, I watched the 3 games, start to finish, at Lucas Oil Stadium in this Final Four. So as you're watching it on TV, there's the basket to your left and the basket to your right from your TV view, from your couch. I swear to you, that basket on the left had a tighter rim, and it must have had a worse shooting background. Because Michigan went 0 for 8 shooting into that end, and UConn didn't make a three on that end until there were like 3 minutes left in the game. So UConn's got to shoot into the cursed end, trying to chase Michigan in the second half. Michigan still couldn't make a three, and it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Michigan was too big. They were too switchable on defense. They made the game hard for UConn, just like UConn was making it hard for them. And they made it harder, and that's why they won. And I think it's fitting in the end that Michigan's worst, like, I don't think they could play worse. I really don't. I don't think Michigan could have played a worse basketball game. And their worst was still better than somebody's best laid plans. That is fitting. That is a fitting coda to this college basketball season where Michigan was the best team from start to finish. I know I was insisting it was Arizona. Well, I could admit when I have gotten one wrong. I regret the error. They were the best team, the Michigan Wolverines, from start to finish. They had too much size. Their 3- and 4-man could guard any position on the floor, so they could just switch defensively relentlessly, and that kept UConn from getting all those 3-point looks they were getting against Illinois. They got high-level point guard play. Elliot Cadeau, I was a little skeptical of coming into this season for them, but he was awesome in the tournament. You look season-long, Michigan made 37% of their threes and 61% of their twos on the season. That is lethally efficient college basketball offense. That is how you build a juggernaut. And the other thing that helps, having vets. Being old still matters. Michigan had a bunch of vets, a bunch of guys who played a lot of college basketball. Arizona, in that vaunted, highly touted semifinal matchup, 2 of their 3 best players were freshmen. And that veteran presence still makes a difference. It's why teams want to be veteran. It's why teams are looking for juniors and seniors, even if they did not develop those juniors and seniors. They want guys who have played a lot of college basketball, who have seen a lot, who have been into hostile environments, who've played against a bunch of different kinds of teams and different kinds of play styles. That feels to coaches more conducive to winning than I'm going to recruit 8 high school freshmen. I'm going to coach them up for 4 years. There's a reason people don't really do that anymore. So Michigan wins, and Dusty May takes his, I think, rightful place next to Dan Hurley as the best active coaches in the sport. Right now, those are the 2 everybody's shooting for. And yes, I include Bill Self. Those are the 2 that everybody is shooting for. Those are the 2 that have proven their success is durable in this era, that they know how to work the portal, they know how to build a roster, they know how to have high-level teams on both offense and defense, and they know how to win in March. Those are the top dogs right now. It's Hurley and it's May, and it's everybody else chasing. It's also the Big Ten's first basketball championship since 2000. A lot was made about that. The Big Ten, of course, winning both basketball championships, although I'll be real honest with you. I do not like referring to UCLA's women's basketball national championship as a Big Ten championship, a championship for the Big Ten. No, yucky, gross. That's a Pac-12 championship. I know the Pac-12 is rising from the ashes next year, and it's going to look really silly with Texas State out there playing the Conference of Champions. But my body rejects acknowledging UCLA as a Big Ten team. I can't do it. I can't get there yet. It may take me the rest of my life. I can't get there yet. But women's basketball natty, Big Ten, I guess. Men's basketball natty, Big Ten. Football natty, the last 3 football natties, Big Ten. Is this the brave new world we live in? I think a lot of people think it is. The Big Ten runs things now. It may still just mean more in the SEC. Maybe the Big Ten needs to start running some commercials that say, we just win more, because they do. Michigan, national champions. Well-deserved. Best team start to finish. I like it when the best team from start to finish wins. Sometimes it's fun to have a good story, an underdog story, but I prefer the satisfaction of having been able to see a team in November and December say, oh, yeah, that team can win a championship, and then they wreck shop and win a championship. I like dominance. I enjoy that. One more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk next. Wrapping up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. We'll be with you until 6 tonight. Ryan feels passionately in the YouTube live chat, 580 Sports Talk, name of the channel, feels passionately about the dome stadiums in the Final Four. He says, play the Final Four at NBA arenas of the home city if you want to have something special. Get it out of the domes yesterday. I do agree, even though the numbers don't bear this out. They really don't. It feels like they should, but over time, it really doesn't bear out that the domes make you shoot worse. There's actual research that's been done on this, and the numbers don't back up that theory. Even if it feels true, you know, tell your statistics to shut up, right? This is one of those. I was a longtime believer in, man, they need to get this thing out of the dome. And then I went to the 2018 Final Four in the Alamo Dome, and I got to tell you, having that many people in one space to watch the championship basketball games is pretty freaking special. It is. It's special, and, I mean, the more seats there are, the more of a chance you give people to get in the door. The problem with having the Final Four in an NBA arena, you're seating, what, 18 to 20,000 in the average NBA arena? You know what most of those seats are going to go to? Corporate types. You know, Coca-Cola is going to get a bunch of those seats. Powerade is going to get a bunch of those seats. Your corporate champions, Capital One, they get a bunch of those seats. It wouldn't feel as much like a special event if you did not have all of these seats. Then you make the corporate champions happy, but you also get a lot more fans of the team in the building. So for a long time, I was with you, Ryan. I agreed with the notion that the domes were bad for the product and they were bad overall for the Final Four. But over time, I've come to feel differently. I've come to feel like having the games in the domes gets more people in and actually does make it electric in there. I had a great experience at the Alamo Dome in 2018. Now, is it weird watching basketball? From my vantage point, obviously I have press seats, but I'm way behind one of the baskets. I felt like I was a mile from the basketball court. But you still see the ball go in the basket. You still see who makes the shot. I guess I can't speak for if you're like way, way up in the bleeds and you're having to look around a pillar. That's tough. I wouldn't pay for those seats. I'll be honest. It wouldn't mean that much to me just to be in the building, but I do. I've come around on that. I feel differently. I understand definitely the feeling like, yeah, this wrecks the game. It would be a better game, be a more intimate atmosphere, but it would and it wouldn't. It would be a more intimate atmosphere, but I think you'd lose a lot of the fan element, the fan passion in the building if you had 20,000 seats and the NCAA's got to make all their corporate champions happy. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, the transfer portal opened today, but we got to start talking about it differently because we got to be honest about what it is. And if we're honest about what it is, we can be honest about what will fix it. And I know a lot of you want it fixed or think it needs fixing. So let's be honest so we can fix it. Plus, what is wrong with you? And Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, will join us for Jayhawk Weekly. That's all coming up in hour number 2 here on 580 Sports Talk on WIBW. Let's get it. Now, number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday. Started this hour by getting the day right. That means it will be better than the last hour. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and live on video. Our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Tuesday. Many of you maybe stuck around after a tough Royals loss, 2-1 to the Guardians this afternoon. They said they moved the game up because they were anticipating below freezing temperatures tonight in Cleveland. They got below freezing temperatures today in Cleveland. Everybody still looked miserable. They just look miserable in the sun rather than looking miserable under the lights. That really, in the end, was the only reason, and frankly, a compelling one, to have moved the game to a day game. Tomorrow's game is an originally scheduled day game, and as far as we know, remains so. So same time tomorrow, 11:30 pregame, 12:10 first pitch. Royals and the rubber game of their series against the Guardians, try and get back to 500 before they head back home for 4 with the White Sox.
It'll be 45 degrees first pitch tomorrow.
45 degrees first pitch from the Spencer Dupuis Great Lakes Weather Center. 45, that's warmer than it was today. I'll tell you what, they looked absolutely miserable. Juan Brito, making his major league debut for Cleveland, looked like he was dressed to go ski jumping. He was so obviously cold and not enjoying himself, except for the part where he got 2 hits in his first big league game. I mean, he enjoyed that, I'm sure. But no, and it's a good day to be a pitcher. Honestly, it should not be a surprise that a game where it's that cold ends 2-1.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a good day to be a pitcher, and it's not a fun day to be a hitter. You got to find a way. Royals only had 1 hit. You don't win a lot of games with 1 hit. You don't win a lot of games where, and I had it wrong. I apologize. I said earlier that the Royals struck out 13 times. I was paying them short shrift. They actually struck out 14 times. 14 strikeouts. 8 walks. The walks are good. The strikeouts are no bueno. The strikeouts were a problem, especially in a couple of big moments with runners in scoring position that proved costly to the Royals in a 2-1 loss. We'll get to some more baseball a little later on in the program today. Later on this hour, we're going to talk KU with our guy Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Busy day for Michael and really everybody in that particular line of work. It is the opening of the transfer portal today, and we'll get Michael's thoughts on all of the happenings that have transpired as the Kansas men's basketball roster, as it stands for 2026-27, has 7 guys. As of right this second, there are 7 guys on the roster. 4 commits, 3 returners. And if you can name all 3 returners, you are a diehard KU fan. And that's not counting walk-ons. It's not counting the Will Thingballs of the world either. But KU's got some work to do on that front, so we'll talk about that. Obviously, we'll also get into some spring football as the media got a chance to check out some more practice today out there in Lawrence. Michael Swain joins us at the bottom of this hour for Jayhawk Weekly. We've also got our first What Is Wrong With You of the week. We did not have a What Is Wrong With You yesterday. We were off at 4:30, so we got our first round of What Is Wrong With Yous, and we are going to talk broadly about the opening of the basketball transfer portal. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be a part of the discussion today. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Go subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you anything but a click, and you will be able to watch us live, interact with us and your fellow listeners in the live chat. And, of course, if you're subscribed, you'll always know if you have notifications when we go live with any of our content on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Speaking of the text line, we got another keyword for the hour, and I swear I'm reading out of the Tuesday column. I opened the show. You weren't around to keep me honest, so I opened the show today, said it was a Wednesday. Been a difficult 24 hours for you, boy. I'm grinding through it. We're playing hurt, but it is a Tuesday, and I'm reading out of the Tuesday column. We have an hourly keyword in this 4:00 hour for our Win 1K a Day contest here on 580 WIBW. The premise is very simple. I give you a word. You text that word. Nothing else in the text. You don't need to text anything else, just the word to 785-272-9429. And the word this hour is gift. Gift. G-I-F-T. Gift. Gift is the keyword. So text that word to 785-272-9429. The word gift. You have this whole hour. You've got 48 minutes to text that word to 785-272-9429. G-I-F-T, gift. And you will be registered. Just have to text it once. You have to text it a billion times. It doesn't do you any good. Just text it once to the text number, and you will be registered for a chance to win today's $1,000 giveaway. Win 1K a day. We're giving away $1,000 every day, each of the next 4 work weeks here on 580 WIBW. It'd be quite a gift to get $1,000 from us, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really would. I can see we had a good amount of entries last hour.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. People like money.
Hey,
people like.
I'd be texting this if I could win the money.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd be waiting with bated breath. I'd be top of the hour. You hear the theme music and Dan enough with the spiel. Give me the keyword. Trying to win a K.
Do we have somebody listening on delay?
We might. So,
did you just see that? Bob?
Yes. So we just got a text from the 785 with last hour's keyword. That's not going to work anymore. That's not going to work. We're looking for this hour's keyword. We might have somebody who's an hour behind. Like if you're watching this show archived, okay, if you're catching this on the podcast or you're catching us on our YouTube stream, but you're delayed, you're listening on Spotify the day after, I want to emphasize these keywords don't do you any good anymore.
Yeah.
They only do you good if you are hearing them live. So the keyword again this hour is gift. G-I-F-T. Text 785-272-9429. Did you enter the portal today, Spencer Dupuis? Did you enter the transfer portal?
No, but a lot of people just entered the word and sent it into text.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. You did not do a graphic. You did not say, I would like, first of all, I would like to thank God for whom all things are possible. Second of all, I would like to thank the great fans at insert learning institution here. Your support will never be forgotten. And I always treasure the opportunity I had to play in front of you after many conversations with family and and lots of prayer. I am entering my name into the transfer portal.
No, unfortunately, you're still going to hear my voice and
Philippians 4:13 and a signature. Now, we are not in the portal. And I. No,
not in the portal. I'm staying here. You can hear my voice on 580 WIBW.
Now, if somebody wants to break off some NIL dollars, I'll listen. But no, we are not entering the portal. Nobody here is entering the transfer portal. But a lot of people are entering the transfer portal. There are over 1,000 names in the portal by noon today, noon Eastern.
Did you hear?
Within the first 12 hours of the portal officially opening. And now we knew a lot of the names had announced their intent, but official portal entries could not begin until midnight Eastern time today. And in 12 hours, there were over 1,000 players, 1,000 names in the portal.
Did you hear Dan Hurley's comments after the game last night?
I did not, no.
So obviously Eastern time, by the time the game was really over, it was almost midnight, right? So by the time he got around to speaking with some of the media, it was like 11:55, and he goes, "Oh, the portal's about to open. I gotta go."
Yeah, I gotta go recruit.
Yeah, pretty funny.
Yeah, no, it's true. The grind doesn't stop.
Is there a pre-entry, like were the people in the athletic departments yesterday, were they on this portal and they pre-entered and at midnight it went in, or did they come in this morning and enter them in? I really want to know, because I think you and the athletic, like, unless it's changed now, but the people in the athletic department have to enter your name.
Right. I
don't know if that's changed. I would assume it hasn't.
So yeah, it's the portal officially doesn't open until, and I don't know all the procedural stuff of it, but along those same lines, friend of the program, CJ Moore, had a great feature in The Athletic today where he's developed a relationship with Dusty May over the last handful of years, and he walked back from the Lucas Oil Stadium to the team hotel. Apparently, that's what the Michigan coaching staff likes to do. They don't take the bus. They walk to the hotel after every game. And so he got to walk along with Dusty May and the rest of the coaching staff, and he's got a great anecdote in there, and I don't want to spoil the whole story. You should go read it today over at The Athletic. It's our guy CJ. You should read everything he writes. But Dusty May is just glued to his phone. Like, they're walking back. They've just won the national championship, and Dusty May cannot get his face out of his phone because, number one, he's got a lot of people texting him and congratulating him, as you'd expect. But also, like, he's got to text some people back. And he's got to text some people who maybe might be playing for him next year back. That's the nature of the transfer portal. And as I've said it once, I've said it a dozen times, I understand that this is not viewed as a broadly popular development in the recent history of college athletics, the idea of the transfer portal. Many of you are turned off by it. Many of you have been turned off of college sports entirely by the creation of the transfer portal. Probably, if that is the extreme to which you feel about it, probably you're not still listening to the program. But yeah, I've heard from many of you via text, via YouTube comments, in public, that it's not something that is broadly popular with fans, and I understand that. But would it be easier if we just started being a little bit more honest about what the transfer portal is? Because I think if we could be more honest about what it is, we could be more honest about how to clean it up, how to fix it to the extent that this needs fixing. Because the transfer portal can be a force for good for both player and program. Michigan had 5 transfers in their starting lineup on a team that just won the national championship. Many transfers, and it's not a 100% success rate, but a lot of transfers have not only brought their talents, but have brought their personalities to wider audiences, to bigger programs. They've elevated their college careers. They've elevated their pro prospects, and they've made for themselves memorable second or third homes. Talking about guys like Keontae Johnson at Kansas State or Melvin Council at Kansas. It's not a net loss here. They're in an entire net loss, this idea of the transfer portal. But if we could just be honest about what it is, we could be honest about ways that we could clean it up. Because what it is, what we should be calling the start of the transfer portal period, we should just call it free agency. We should call it free agency because that is what is happening here. Let's take Flory Badunga as an example. Flory Badunga is in the portal today. Flory Badunga had an NIL agreement and a scholarship from the University of Kansas. Scholarship paid tuition, room and board to make him an active student at the university. The NIL was payment on top of that for services rendered. You go play basketball for us, we'll give you these NIL dollars, and you will go and you will apply your trade for us here at the University of Kansas. Most of those NIL deals, the vast, vast majority of these NIL deals are for 1 year. Think of them as 1 year contracts because in reality, a scholarship, that was the thing that should have been enough, right? Many of you still think, I shouldn't say many of you, but I know there's a percentage of you out there that still believe that a scholarship was enough compensation for the student athlete. I never agreed with that because you can't put a scholarship in your gas tank. You can't put a scholarship in your stomach. You can't help your family out with a scholarship. You can do it eventually with the skills you learn, but paying these guys their fair share from $1 billion industry was always morally just, always the thing that should have been done, and now it is being done. But the scholarship was always, in reality, a contract that could be voided or could be pulled at a coach's discretion. Coaches could revoke scholarships if they wanted to. Coaches could tell a player, yeah, well, we recruited you, but now we've recruited over you, and we like that scholarship back. So you're not a scholarship guy.
Go hit the portal.
Yeah. why don't you go transfer?
That's why some players transfer because people don't really understand that. Some people are forced to transfer.
Yes, transferring didn't just start 8 years ago. People have been transferring for years. And that's the idea. Oh, I'm a scholarship athlete at this Division I school. Well, we've got you here on campus. You're redshirted, and it's year 2, and we've discovered that, you know what? You're not really Division I standard. Go play somewhere else. You're not our program standard. Go play somewhere else. So you yank the scholarship, right? So these have always been effectively 1-year contracts. 1-year contract. And what happens in professional sports when you sign a 1-year contract and the season is over? You go to free agency.
Yep.
You become a free agent, and you are open to accept offers of financial compensation to go play somewhere else, at a place that is a better fit for you. And if we called it free agency, and Mark B's in lockstep with me in the YouTube live chat, then we could treat it like free agency, because one way to keep somebody from leaving after 1 year, you sign them to a multi-year contract. But to get to that point in the process, the next step is admitting what needs to be admitted by the member schools of the NCAA. The players are employees. And if you make the players employees, then you can start to do things like sign these legally binding NIL contracts that will keep a player in place for multiple years. Now, a lot of players aren't going to want to sign multiple-year NIL deals. A lot of players might feel like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to sign a multi-year contract to play it. I'm just going to pluck a mid-major basketball team out of nowhere. Northern Illinois. I'm not going to commit 4 years to Northern Illinois because I feel like I got under-recruited. I feel like I'm going to have a huge first 2 years or first year at Northern Illinois, and then I'm going to hit the portal. Or what if my coach leaves? What if my coach leaves and the guy who brought me here isn't here anymore? I want to hit the portal. I want out of my contract. So you're still going to run into a lot of short-term contracts, but that is what this is. That is what this is. So instead of treating it like it's this evil thing, let's put a system in place that actually treats it like what it is, which is widespread free agency in what is not a professional sport, but has been over the years professionalized by the amount of money that it generates for its participants and for the overseers, if you will, the administration.
The crazy part about this is, as well as the portal works, where some guys get under recruited, you just mentioned, right? The under recruiting, you kill it at the mid-major level. You're going to the major college basketball, or we see it here with Washburn recently, right? Where they've killed it at Washburn, they're going from D2 to mid-major D1.
Right.
For those guys that aren't playing basketball after college, it really screws them over, but they don't see it like that.
Yeah, it feels like nobody begrudges anybody for taking a quote-unquote better opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's mad at Yaxel Lendeborg for going to Michigan.
No.
Right? From UAB to Michigan? Nobody's mad at Yaxel Lendeborg. Nobody was mad at Melvin Council. Everybody at St. Bonaventure was thrilled that Melvin Council got a chance to go play somewhere else and be Melvin Council somewhere else where more people could get to experience Melvin Council. And people were happy for him.
A side note, Melvin Council, he is heavily featured in that in the docuseries on Paramount.
Oh, okay.
Pretty fun stuff with him, just like an inside of the day of his life.
So what you have is a system where people are mostly happy for the guys who seek a better opportunity because it's seen as like you're moving up, right? You're going up from Division II to Division I. You're going up from the mid-major to the major conference. Where the frustration happens, where we see the frustration, because we follow teams, we cover teams that are major conference basketball teams. And to feel like, wait, now we're just getting outbid. Now it is just a money game because you're getting to play high major college basketball. If you're Kansas and you're losing players, it gets frustrating because how are we getting outbid? How does Kansas get outbid? How does Kansas, this storied program, one of the great programs in the history of college basketball, how can somebody make a better offer to anyone than to play at Kansas? So I get it. I get where the frustration lies. But at the end of the day, if we're going to have a bit of stability to this whole process, to the roster building process, to the comings and the goings, that is still fair to the players involved, the first thing we have to do is treat them as employees. That's the first thing, the first step. Nothing else fixes the problem. It's just that. Meanwhile, with the portal opening today, couple of shocks. Jamari McDowell hit the portal this morning out of KU. That was not something that was widely foreseen. A lot of people thought that Jamari was what we used to call a program guy. He was going to hang around for 4 years. Well, guess not. Jamari McDowell is into the portal. Obviously, Flory Badunga into the portal. Bryson Tiller into the portal. Paul Mbia into the portal. Elmarco Jackson into the portal. Kansas's roster, as we know it, is 7 guys deep. You get Cole Rosario, who, as yet, and I mean, that could have changed 5 minutes ago and I would have missed it. But Cole Rosario, as yet, not in the portal. Same as Calderon, as yet, not in the portal. Corbin Allen, as yet, not in the portal. And then you have the 4 freshman commits, Taylon Kinney, Davion Adkins, Trent Perry, and Luke Barnett. I think Tyron Stokes is coming. I'm reading the tea leaves. Everything seems to point to Kansas getting their ducks in a row to make sure Tyron Stokes is the Jayhawk. Put him on the roster, and that makes 8. What does Kansas need in the portal? A lot. Yes, they need a lot. They need a really good guard, like a scoring guard, to go along with Taylon Kinney, who's much more of a distributing guard. They need a shooting wing. Somebody can come in and knock down 38 to 40% of their threes on the wing. And they need to rebuild their front court. Because right now, the only big they got is Davion Adkins. And even if you think Tyron Stokes is a 4, I would disagree with that notion because I think you want to play him as a supersized 3. Yeah. But even if he is a 4, you're still going to need somebody to play big against some bigger teams. Because if you didn't notice watching the NCAA tournament, big is in. It's good to be big. All the teams that were playing this weekend, huge. So Kansas has to go get big again. Whether that's a return of Flory Badunga, which, again, can't rule it out because kind of felt like we ruled it out at this point last year, and then he came back. But hearing from CJ Moore of The Athletic, he put it in his way too early top 25 today, that they expect that Duke is going to make a play for Flory, especially if Patrick Ngongba declares for the draft and leaves. And that's the school you don't outbid. That's the one you don't outbid is Duke. If Duke wants a guy, Duke probably gets the guy. KU found that out with Damasar this year.
Yeah, so, I think Mbia might find a way back if they've got something for him.
I'd like that too, but again, not a lot of buzz with the thought that he is going to return. Tiller is almost certainly gone.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. That's not happening. So KU needs bigs. They need 1 or 2. They need a starting center, and they probably need a reserve center. And it's hard to find a reserve center because one team's reserve center is another team's starting center, and they get paid accordingly. That's why Paul Mbia is probably not going to be back. It may be that KU sees Mbia as a developmental project, as a backup. Somebody out there in the portal thinks, no, he can start for us. And he's going to get paid, compensated accordingly. Just like how free agency works in professional sports. One team's swing tackle is another team's starting right tackle. That's how it goes. K-State had Taj Manning hit the portal today. And that felt like a bummer because we've heard for the last 2 years how much Taj Manning likes being at Kansas State. Loves being at Kansas State. He's been there for 4 years. Rode it out all the way with Jerome Tang. Got his chance to play this year. I think proved that he's stretched as a starter and certainly not a center in the Big 12, but he could probably play at the major college level in a reserve role. He's done 4 years at K-State. He's been loyal. I just think he's probably not a style fit with how Casey Alexander wants to play, and maybe he wants, for his last year of eligibility, to play a little more, maybe win a little more. Don't begrudge Taj Manning at all. So that leaves K-State, as it stands, with Andre Kostic and the 2 freshmen, Jalen Alexander and Devin Hutcherson, on the roster. There's a lot of work to do with Casey Alexander and a lot of evidence early on that he might not have the NIL budget that Jerome Tang had to work with it. And that could mean that the portal additions are not going to be a lot of guys you heard of. Probably not going to be a lot of guys who have major conference experience. But if Casey Alexander is a player developer, that's potentially exciting for Kansas State to see if there's some straw out there in the portal that Alexander can spin into gold. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with our first What Is Wrong With You of the week. Michael Swain's going to join us here in just a bit for Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. It's time for What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. Our first stories of the day after the short show yesterday cut What Is Wrong With You out of the program. Two stories today. I will go first. We call this story Old Enough to Know Better. We're going to Rock Rapids, Iowa, where Brenda DeBerg was arrested on charges of operating while under the influence on back-to-back days. 2 OWIs in 2 days for the 73-year-old DeBerg. Maybe she just likes to party. She was initially arrested about 9:45 p.m. on April 1st. She was found on a sidewalk by a public parking lot. She had bloodshot, watery eyes, impaired balance, and the strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. She admitted to drinking and driving. She was charged with first offense operating while under the influence and public intox and transported to the county jail. After posting a $1,000 bond, she was released on Thursday and then was found at 8:35 p.m. driving the same vehicle without her lights on and stopped later that day. She had bloodshot, watery eyes, impaired balance, slurred speech, and the strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. She admitted to consuming alcohol and also handed the deputy a marijuana pipe and some weed.
Jeez.
A urine sample tested preliminarily positive for THC. She was arrested again and charged with first offense operating while under the influence. Shouldn't that be second offense? I guess I don't know how the legal code works. First offense, possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, failure to use headlamps, failure to carry registration card, and failure to provide proof of vehicle liability insurance. It's going a little hard, Brenda. A little hard.
Yeah.
Hitting it pretty hard there in your 70s. I think you got to be a little old enough to know better at that point. One time, it's the worst night of your life. Twice in 2 nights, and the second time you throw in a little weed to go with it. Party's over, lady. Your story today.
We're going to go to Port St. Lucie, Florida. A Florida man hit a Port St. Lucie officer with a motorcycle while fleeing on March 23rd before he attempted to enter vehicles of unsuspecting customers in a drive-thru, according to law enforcement. The Port St. Lucie Police Department said the man drove his motorcycle at over 103 miles per hour on the main drag and passed a traffic unit officer. The officer attempted a traffic stop, but the man, Malachi Veneran, 20, fled, according to body cam footage. The footage shows veteran as he struck the officer with his motorcycle and crashed it before he fled on foot. The officer deployed a taser, but the man continued to run to a fast food restaurant. The police department said he tried to enter vehicles waiting in the drive-through line. According to footage, the deputy deployed his taser and he fell to the ground. He was charged with aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, fleeing and eluding, possession of a concealed firearm in commission of a felony, possession of a firearm under the age of 21, resisting without violence, driving with a suspended license, driving a motorcycle without endorsement, driving an unregistered vehicle, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of marijuana with intent to sell. The motorcycle was towed. That's
a lot of charges.
That's also a lot to put in. Like, you got that in your saddlebag? Like, where are you putting all that?
That's
stuff?
a good question. I'm gonna go with the lady.
Yeah.
Jeffrey said she's old and still chugging away in the YouTube comment. She sure was. You going with that one today too?
Yeah.
Old enough to know better is our first winner this week on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, Michael Swain of Fog.net for Jayhawk Weekly. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. This is Jayhawk Weekly. We do it every Tuesday at this time here on the program. Again, you can check out all of Michael's great work at Fog.net and have access to all of it if you are a VIP subscriber to the 24/7 Sports Network. Michael, slow day at work?
I don't know if there are such things as slow days these days. Busy, spring football in the morning, transfer portal kind of all day. It's definitely, I think we talk about it a lot, right? College athletics now, a 12-month-a-year sport, maybe 11-month if you don't want to include July. But yeah, the craziness continues.
The craziness continues indeed. It's first day of free agency in college sports, college basketball, the transfer portal opening. Flory Badunga entering the portal was not particularly shocking. Neither was Bryson Tiller. Paul Mbia also announcing his intent over the weekend. Elmarco Jackson and Jamari McDowell have also entered the transfer portal. Jamari feels like the big surprise of the group. Can you shed any light on why he may have made the decision to leave the program? It kind of felt like he was pretty comfortable in his role and established as one of those program guys that every program wants to keep around.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It had sounded like maybe he was going to be coming back. And, he's someone that really grew in a leadership role this past year. But look, when you're looking at the roster, and I think this is probably true of El Marco, Jamari, and Paul specifically, where, KU's going to go out and add, and they're going to add guys through the portal. And I think guys like El Marco and Jamari at this point in their career, they got 2 years left. And they probably want to go somewhere where they're going to play 30 minutes a game or 25 minutes a game. And I just am not totally convinced that that's going to happen for them at Kansas next season. And so it makes sense why they would go. With Jamari specifically, he and Samaya Nichols on the women's basketball team were in a relationship. He would have been a good leader on the team. So from that perspective, right, you could check some boxes and say it would make sense for him to come back. But at the end of the day, I think these guys want to go play. I think it's a very similar thing that we talked about in football, right, with some of the guys that departed at the end of last season where they got 2 years left and they realized that they're going to play at Kansas. They either have to take a huge step forward or get a little lucky. And sometimes you don't want to take that risk and you want to go take it in your own and go find somewhere to play. So for those guys, I think that's kind of the thinking behind it.
Would Kansas close the door to a return for any of these players in the portal?
Well, here's the thing. Close the door, maybe not. It's mutual. You're going into the portal for a reason. I think even with, Flory this time, I don't get the same feeling as maybe became clear after kind of the first week last offseason where it's kind of like, okay, it's for leverage. He's very much open to coming back. Like, I'm not getting the same feeling this time around with Flory. And then again, you go down the list and it's like, well, would they be open to coming back? And the answer is probably not for some of them because they probably want to go play somewhere. Or if you're Bryson Tiller and you had the season you had where you were pushed real hard and maybe weren't a fan of the way it went, especially at the end of the season by getting benched very publicly, maybe you're looking for a fresh start yourself and you want to go find somewhere where you can play and kind of maybe feel like you can be yourself and not be pushed into a different comfort zone. So I think it's one of those situations where the guys that have gone in so far, I'm not sure if there's a world where they really would want to go back to KU where they just want to go find something new.
Michael Swain is our guest, Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, joining us here for Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. For Flory's sake, he's the highest profile guy to go into the portal so far for KU, and he might be, some have said he's the best player that's going to go into the portal at any point. He might be the highest profile name in the portal, which means he's going to command a pretty high NIL salary and pretty high NIL demand for him. For Kansas, is it maybe a binary between acceding to Flory's demands and maybe trying to pull that freshman class together with one last big swing at Tyron Stokes? Or to the best of your knowledge, is Flory a guy that if Kansas wanted him back, that him coming back wouldn't be because they didn't want it. It'd be because maybe they got outbid a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think, look, all right, let's be real here. Look at Flory's high school recruitment. Let's look at last off season. Let's look at this past off season. What's been the driving force? $. And I think that that's something where, they've got their asking price, and I'm not sure, people are throwing out $5 million. I don't think that's accurate. I would go a little lower than that. But at the end of the day, still, that's a lot of money for a college program. And if you're thinking like some of the mid-level kind of top 25 teams are in your 12 million or projected to be kind of in that 10 to 12 range for next year, maybe the elite team is probably 15 plus in that range. Are you going to sink a third of your quote unquote salary cap into Flory as a center? That's a question you'd have. So I think this is one where if, the asking price was maybe a little bit lower and it was maybe a little bit more, not basically what would it be, almost quadrupling what he made this past year, definitely tripling. That's just tough, I think, for KU when you're trying to build out a roster and you're trying to make decisions about creating the best overall team. And for as good as Flory is as a defender, there are offensive limitations. And we saw this past season. We talked about it on the show, right? Guys like Flory at times against the really good teams and the really good centers had some struggles. He shot 54% from the field and averaged, on I think it was just under 10 points a game in those contests. So it's a player that, for as good as he is, does have some flaws. And so you got to weigh pros and cons, right? Do you value what he offers you in terms of being an elite defender, right? He could be one of the best defenders consistently in college year over year that college basketball seen in a good long while. And you have to weigh that with the other side. So I think this is one for KU where I think some of the numbers came in and it's like, yep, I don't think we're going to do that number. And so then Floyd Benungan, if people are like, all right, well, then we'll go in the portal and see what we can find. And so I'll be very interested to see kind of where he lands and what that deal looks like.
The most obvious needs that Kansas has in the portal are a starting center to replace Flory Benungan. The whole front court's in the portal, so you got to fill out the front court, but you need a 5. Bill Self team isn't going to roll out without a 5. So KU needs a 5, and they need another scoring guard. What archetypes do you think that Kansas would be most interested in pursuing at those positions?
Yeah, if you can get back into your kind of 6'11", 7-foot centers, right, who are Dickinson, David McCormick type of just frame. I think that's something KU would probably like to do. I'm not sure if you're going to see KU do another 6'9" or 6'7" without shoes center for as good as some of those guys can be in guarding 5 and switching and all that stuff. I think that's something they'll go away with and maybe go for a little bit of a bigger profile, can give you some more back to the basket game. And then at guard, it's really interesting. You saw what KU tried to do with Darren this past year, where it was, okay, the ball can be in Darren's hands at some point, but then you also want to have another guy that's experienced in Melvin Council. But then you also saw the shortcomings of that, of Melvin being an inconsistent scorer, right? He had really good games, but there were also times, especially late in the season and early in season 2, where he really struggled to put the ball in the hole. So can you go find someone that maybe has some experience, but also is maybe more of a proven scorer to play alongside of Taylor Kinney, where, I think opinions are maybe a little bit split for Taylor on what his best strength is, but I think some people would say his ability as a passer is one of his strengths. You could look at his ability to kind of just create generally, whether it be his own shot or for others off the pick and roll. Well, if you could pair that ability with a scoring guard who also can play on the ball, like that feels like a good match. So those are kind of the two things I think you look for there. But I think you're right. Like if you're planning out the offseason right now, like where's the expenditure going to go? I think one of those top positions that KU's going to have to spend at is that other guard spot. Because, I mean, look at March, right? For as much as these teams have gotten bigger, what helps you the most? I mean, it is really good guard play. And if you have that, it's really going to set you up for success. So I think that's a big key for KU is finding the right guy to pair with Taylor Kinney.
Michael Swain of Fog.net is our guest on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. This is Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. Pivoting from the basketball transfer portal to football, you mentioned you got to see some spring football practice today and getting to continue to hear from the head coaches. What was something that stood out to you as you observed today?
Oh man, it was cold. Those first things stood out. I mean, it was so funny listening to players and coaches like talk about, all right, how many, like, you just got your hoodie on? Okay. What do you? No, I think that I spent some time around the defensive backs today just because I think it's an interesting group. We heard from like Bible last week and DK McDonald week before that. KU needs its defensive back to be better this fall. And there are some returning guys, but it's also kind of a room and a secondary that's kind of banged up right now with some guys recovering from stuff from last season, right? Austin Alexander isn't going through spring. Some of the guys they brought in are still banged up from last year. So it's one of those where you look at the room, man, you like the bodies, you like the versatility that's there, but you don't know how the pieces are going to come together yet. So that's what stood out. And then I think, we heard from Matt Lubick as well. And it sounds like, KU's got some good depth at tight end. That's coming along. You've got Jalen Butler, Carter Moses, 2 guys they got from the transfer portal, guys that maybe are going to offer some all-around skill set. Carson Broom taking a big step forward, talked to him about his broken foot last year against K-State and how he's come back from that. So I think tight end's a room where, with Andy Kornicki back, they're going to try and use a lot of guys and a lot of formations. And it seems like they've got some versatile players who can be kind of put into different situations and have some success.
It's interesting you mentioned the defensive backs. We actually had a listener text into the program wanting to know about the safety group in particular and little worried about the lack of returning experience at that position. But it was experience last year, but it wasn't a lot of great production at times from that safety group last season. What maybe stands out to you about the potential of the safety group, and maybe is there a different archetype at that position this year in DK McDonald's defense?
Yeah, so I think that's probably the biggest difference is you look at what KU had last year, and on paper there's players. You had Mason Ellis and Rick Rawls and Taylor Davis, but then you had the Dye brothers. On paper it's like, okay, you got bodies there, but how many could you really trust throwing in the middle of a Big 12 game? And the coaches showed you the answer because they played two boundary safety, two guys that mostly are going to play closer in the box in short areas. They played Taylor Davis on the field, and that didn't necessarily go super well. He was kind of inconsistent. But then you look this year, what KU's added, and you look at, Keyshawn Cummings-Coleman from Iowa State. You look at Corey Gordon from Louisville. Those are two guys that play that field safety role, can play in space, can play with coverage. And that, I think, when I look at the safeties room, that's going to be the thing that I'm most encouraged by is you just look at the profiles of players. You're not trying to fit square pegs and round holes with the guys you have. You got some guys that maybe fit those roles a little bit better and should be able to have some more success. So I think you can look at it and say you got those two guys in the field. Now all of a sudden the boundary, you got a Jaden Harris from Georgia who didn't play a lot of Georgia, but you go back to his tape at Miami, he played okay and started for them on a team that I believe won 10 games. So he's been around the block, right? He's an experienced guy. He can push Taylor Davis now. And so I think you look at it and there are probably 5 guys you feel pretty good about playing in a game this fall. I think that's a pretty good spot to be in. It's now just a question of, okay, how do you pair these guys? How do you factor in kind of that nickel third safety role that they play with? And that's going to be the big key, I think, for this coaching staff in fall camp.
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks at fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. No time like the present to become a VIP subscriber. Get access to all of Michael's outstanding inside info as college basketball free agency heats up and spring football practice continues. Michael joins us every Tuesday for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, it's always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds great. Talk to you guys next week.
That is Michael Swain. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. .455 on 580 Sports Talk, wrapping up this second hour. Thanks again to Michael Swain of fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. I think they lifted the paywall today over at the 24/7 Sports websites?
They did. I've been on it today.
So if you are not a paying customer, maybe getting a taste of the VIP stuff today over at fog.net, and of course our friends at gopowercat.com as well, maybe that convinces you to drop the money for a subscription and get all of the inside info that Michael Swain's going to have for you over at fog.net. If you want to be on top of the transfer portal, where KU might be looking, what kinds of players they might be looking to add, bring in for visits, that kind of stuff, you're going to want to be a VIP over at 24/7 Sports. If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook today, you notice I'm wearing a University of Michigan cap.
Sell out.
Nah, I'm not a sellout. I don't have a favorite college team. I just like the hat. I just think the Block M is classic. Mark B asked if I had a hat for all the Final Four teams. No. But if UConn had won, I would have worn the old sad Husky UConn pullover today, just like I wore a UCLA t-shirt yesterday to honor the women's college basketball national champions. You get bonus content when you watch the show. A lot of times the wardrobe is entirely intentional. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just, yeah, it's warm. Let me grab a shirt out of the pile. It might mean nothing at all. But some days it's like a little Easter egg, a little bonus content for you. I dug the Michigan hat out. I haven't worn this hat in a long time. It doesn't really fit me good, to be completely honest with you. I got it many years ago. I think the last time I wore it was when I did a very bad Jim Harbaugh costume for Halloween.
I can just imagine.
I bought some horn-rimmed sunglasses for like $1 from the Dollar Tree, punched the lenses out, had the khakis, had like a long sleeve dark blue shirt. I'll show you a picture during the break. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we got our headlines. We'll play Random Question Tuesday and some final thoughts after a disappointing Royals loss earlier this afternoon. Stay with us. We're with you until 6 on 580 Sports Talk on WIBW. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour of this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis rocking with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas this afternoon. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Great to be with you on this Tuesday. Again, with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Royals already in the books. They lost earlier this afternoon to the Guardians 2-1. Game 3, the rubber game of that series. Also a matinee tomorrow, 11:30 pregame and a 12:10 first pitch. And we'll be on the air at 3:06 or following Royals postgame, whichever comes second. Just like we were today. We got on the air around 3:10, 3:15 in that kind of gray area today. Long-ish game. So that's about when we expect we'll join you tomorrow for Wednesday's edition of 580 Sports Talk. And hopefully we're talking about a Royals series win. We got to talk about their loss today. They only got one hit. That's not good. Even when the hit's a home run, even when you draw 8 walks, getting one hit, scoring one run, doesn't win you a lot of baseball games. Doesn't give the pitching staff a whole lot of room for error.
Would have been great if, 2 of those walks were on base when Carter Jensen had his hit.
You'd like to sequence things a little better, wouldn't you? You a lot of that's down to luck sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get the hit with 2 out and a runner in scoring position, and the leadoff guy in the next inning hits a double. And you're like, that would have been nice last inning. Sometimes, sequencing, it is what it is. But yes, would have been nice to have somebody on base in front of Jensen. Maybe the game unfolds a little bit differently. Maybe 2 somebodies, and the Royals would have won. So there you go. But we'll have some more Royals baseball thoughts here in just a little bit. We'll also have Random Question Tuesday. It feels like forever since you and I have done that, Spencer. So yeah, look forward to Random Question Tuesday here in just a little while. And you know what? If somebody's got a good question, they can get it in on the YouTube live chat or the text line as well. We might be amenable to taking a question or 2 from the audience. We've also, of course, got our 580 Sports Talk headline. Not a big news day nationally, but a big news day locally. So we got some local sports headlines we're going to be able to dive into here a little bit to get the headlines started. And we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines to open this hour. Of course, you can interact with the program today. Want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. We are broadcasting live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And while we're live, you can hop in that live chat window that's right next to the video if you're watching on a browser, or right beneath the video if you're watching on a tablet or a phone, and type some words in there. Say hello. Interact with your fellow listeners. Grow the 580 Sports Talk community. And interact with your hosts as well. Mark H. wants to know how many hats still fit me. The answer to that question, Mark, is all of them. Otherwise, if it didn't fit me, I'd get rid of it. Right?
I just found out my Nats fitted 7 3/8 doesn't fit me anymore.
That's tough.
I don't know if that's a hair thing.
Has it been a while since you've gotten a haircut?
No, but I don't typically wear that hat. Like I only wear that hat if I go to games. Typically.
I got you.
I've changed my hat style since I moved out here.
I would have guessed a bigger hat size because I have sized out of 7 3/8. So I'm up to 7.5 now.
So I think I'm 7.5. I haven't bought a fitted hat in years. That's the thing. I love the trucker and the
sure.
Like it's just because sometimes when I let my hair grow, I've got to go up, and then when I get a haircut, I'm really short haired. Then I go back down.
Mark B says we must be juicing if our heads are growing. Yeah, hey, I'm on the stuff.
We've used the word grow way too many times in this first 5 minutes. It's ironic.
We're on the stuff. If by stuff you mean like Mucinex, that's what I'm on today.
I'm on the allergy pill.
Yeah, the Daily Allegra. I'm on that stuff. But yeah, all the hats I own fit me, and if they don't fit me, I ditch them. I've given them away. There's probably some kids out there wearing like my old Toronto Blue Jays fitted that doesn't fit me anymore.
I've got a Red Sox hat that I'm going to see if it still fits me. It was a promo giveaway when I went to Fenway.
I've got some hats that I miss. I used to have I had a Nationals fitted when they first moved to DC. I got the red, the curly W. That was a size too small for me now. I don't have that one anymore. I had a Reds fitted, doesn't fit me anymore. I had a Mets, old Astros throwback, doesn't fit me anymore.
So I'm just not a fitted guy, so I don't buy fitted hats.
I've always preferred the fitted to the snapback. It's the ball player in me, I guess. But it's a little early for Random Question Tuesday. I guess you just got bonus Random Question Tuesday content on this Tuesday. You know what else we owe you in addition to Random Question Tuesday content? We owe you a keyword for our Win 1K a Day sweepstakes. We're doing every day, every weekday for the next 4 weeks here on 580 WIBW. And the concept is really simple. We give you a keyword every hour. You text the keyword, just the keyword. Don't text anything else. Don't text your name. Don't text your hometown. Don't text, please, I really want this money. We know you want the money. Everybody wants $1,000. I want $1,000. I'm not eligible to win. You are. So we're going to give you the keyword, and you're going to text the keyword to 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429. Just text the keyword. Just do it once. Do it this hour. You got 48 minutes to text this word to 785-272-9429. You've already heard it this segment. Spencer tried to make a allusion to it, and I wasn't really picking up what he was putting down. But the word is grow. 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 Grow is the keyword this hour. Text grow. GROW to 785-272-9429. Just text it once. Only text the word, and you will be registered for your chance to win $1,000. Win 1K a day sweepstakes going on for the next month here on 580 WIBW.
It really took you a little bit to see what was going on there.
The more you know, the more you grow. That's the keyword, grow. GROW, grow. Text it, 785-272-9429. Let's get into some headlines, shall we? And we'll just tackle all the local sports headlines. We'll just wind them into one headline today. And we'll start with transfer portal news, and it's good news for Washburn-Ichabod men's basketball. Jack is back. The best point guard in America, Jack Batchelor, announcing via social media today that he will return to Washburn University for his senior season. The Washburn Rural alum and All-American candidate will come back and play his senior year for the Bods, who were the MIAA tournament and regular season champions last season. Batchelor has started 78 of his 97 career games at Washburn and averages 13.5 points for his career. He is 14th all-time already on the Ichabod career scoring chart, 6th all-time in steals, 7th all-time in three-pointers made. He is a 2-time first-team All-MIAA selection and a 2-time NABC All-District selection. He's also 3rd all-time in career assists at Washburn, 4th in assist average, 5th in career free throw percentage at 82%. Last season, Batchelor averaged a career high 15.5 points per game to go with 4.6 assists per game and 2.5 rebounds, shooting 45% from the floor, 40% from deep, and 80% at the charity stripe, helping the Ichabods go 31-2. And it's great to see him come back. He is a certainly beloved player among the denizens of Lee Arena. We got a great text in here from the 785. Said, no doubt had other offers. Local legend. Can't wait to see him lead another team and get himself into the rafters at Lee Arena. Amen to that. Wonderful news to see Jack Batchelor coming back. Washburn has obviously had some significant graduate and portal losses. Dylan Clausen gone portaling up to the Division I level at Liberty. Jeremiah Jones chose Lamar as his next stop. And, of course, there were graduation losses as well. Sam Ungashik, Brady Christensen. But Jack Batchelor's back. And I'll tell you what, if you ask any basketball coach where you want to start building your team for the next year, they'll always tell you, I'd love my point guard back. Give me my point guard back. And Brett Ballard's got his point guard back for 2026-27. Jack Batchelor returning to Washburn basketball. We'll keep it local here with the first slate of high school basketball coaching hirings. There are some high school basketball head coaching vacancies here in the capital city, and Shawnee Heights has gone ahead and checked both of their boxes over the last 24 hours. Of course, Ken Darding announcing his retirement as the boys basketball coach at Shawnee Heights. Bob Wells doing the same after 25 years as the head coach at Shawnee Heights with the girls basketball team. And some familiar names will be taking their place. Brandon McDonald, who spent the last 4 years as Rossville's head coach, guiding them to back-to-back state tournament appearances, will be the next head boys basketball coach at Shawnee Heights. He's the third Topeka High alum to be an active head coach in the city, joining Robbie Sanders at Topeka High, Nate Wallace at Highland Park. He's a Topeka High alum, played his college basketball at Baker, was previously an assistant at Topeka West, spent the last 4 years as the head coach of the Rossville Bulldogs. It had been a long time since Rossville basketball had made it to state. McDonald got them there each of the last 2 seasons, and now he takes over, replacing the legend Ken Darding at Shawnee Heights. The girls basketball hire just made public earlier today, and it's not just the new girls basketball head coach, it's also the new volleyball head coach at Shawnee Heights, and it's a familiar name if you followed Washburn basketball, and it's a familiar last name if you know anything about high school sports in the state. Katie Glassick is the new head coach of Shawnee Heights girls basketball, replacing Bob Wells, and also the next head coach of the volleyball program, replacing Sammy Carney. Glassick had been the head volleyball coach at Royal Valley, the last 2 seasons, and also had spent 3 years as the assistant basketball coach. On the girls' side, she started her coaching career at Shawnee Heights as an assistant coach under Sammy Carney on the volleyball program before going to Royal Valley. And again, volleyball head coach the last 2 years, assistant girls basketball coach for the last 3. Now she'll be the head coach of both programs at Shawnee Heights. Glassick was a all-state basketball player at Centralia, helped them win a state championship. And look, here's the deal. If your last name is Glassick, you win state championships. That's just how it works. Her dad, Larry Glassick, legendary head coach at Centralia High. Her brother, Michael, currently putting together a dynastic run up at Nemaha Central. Larry and Michael Glassick, one of 3 father-son pairs in state history to both win state football championships. How's that for some trivia?
Wow.
I know you can get one more if you think about it. Roger and Brooks Barta. Roger, the legend at Smith Center, and Brooks, of course, up at Holton. The other fairly recent occurrence, Mark Sandbo getting Salina Central over the line in Class 5A this past fall, joining his dad, Gary, who was a state championship winning coach as well. So, yeah, the Sandbos, the Bartas, and the Glassicks. And now Katie Glassick follows the family tradition of being a head coach. And I covered her redshirt year and freshman season as a member of the Washburn basketball team, where she was part of the team for 4 years, which is a further sign that I'm getting old. But now I don't know Katie real well, but congratulations to her. Excited, obviously, to get to work with her. I do know Brandon a little bit. I've worked with him the last couple of years as he's been the coach at Rossville. Super dude, and very excited to continue to work with him and see how he does at Shawnee Heights. I think the Thunderbird athletic department knocked it out of the park with both of those hires. Those are your local sports headlines to start the show today. Spencer, let's broaden the scope a little bit for our next headline.
I'm going to give a headline and give the context, but I'm going to let you speak about the former head coach of the Nuggets.
Okay.
The former head coach of the Nuggets, Michael Malone, has been hired and has since done his welcoming press conference at UNC as North Carolina hired the NBA champion head coach. A 6-year deal. He's going to make $8.3 million a year. That's the second highest paid coach in America for college hoops, behind the one, the only Bill Self.
So
$8.8 million.
So that's what Pete Thamel said originally, and then he had to back off that and say, okay, it's a top 5 coaching salary. So there might be some other coaches who do make in between what Malone is going to make and what Self makes. But either way, that's a spicy meatball for somebody who has never before been a college head coach, never mind a major college head coach. But Michael Malone has been a damn NBA champion with the Denver Nuggets back in 2013. 12 seasons as an NBA head coach, 510 career wins, fired with 3 games left in the regular season in Denver last year and had spent the last 10-plus months as an analyst on ESPN television.
No, he replaced Bob Myers on NBA Countdown.
He did. 2 things you got to understand first before I start here. Number one, I unreservedly love Michael Malone. I do, and I always will. I mean, they should put him in the rafters in Denver. That team had never won a championship, and he was the coach that won them a championship. And I don't believe they would have won it without him. I think he was the right coach for that team until he very quickly became the wrong coach 2 years later, and that's why they fired him with 3 games to play. That's how it works, right? That's the game in coaching.
Yeah.
You're the right coach until you're the wrong coach.
I mean, both of my teams that have won championships, it was the right coach at the right time.
Yeah, that's usually how things work. You're the right coach, and eventually you happened to Tom Landry, man. He was the right coach until he was the wrong coach. It's happened to Hall of Famers. Mike Tomlin, right coach until he was the wrong coach.
Maybe you'll be the right coach, win the championship, and then they don't renew your contract.
Yeah.
Barry Trotz.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Anyhow, so you got to understand that. I love Michael Malone. You also have to understand that I hate North Carolina basketball. I grew up a Duke fan. Some of you know this. I was brave enough to admit this truth about myself, that when I was 5 or 6, I thought Christian Laettner and Bobby Hurley and Grant Hill were just the most awesome basketball team to exist. So I grew up a Duke fan. That is not an allegiance that's really a part of me anymore. I don't have like Duke gear. I don't sit down and follow Duke's roster. I don't root for Duke. I'm glad I don't have any emotional attachment to how a John Shire team performs in the NCAA tournament. That'd kill me. So I don't retain that Duke fandom, but I retain the other part that came with the Duke fandom, which is a hatred of the North Carolina Tar Heels. I hate them. I have always hated them. They foisted that loser, that overrated doofus, Tyler Hansbrough, on us for 4 years. We had to pretend he was good at basketball. He wasn't. Whatever they called him, T-Sizzle, T-Money, Silly T, whatever it was that they called him, I hated that dude more than I've hated maybe any college basketball player ever. So I hate North Carolina basketball, and I wish them ill in general. But they just hired a guy who I really, really love in Michael Malone. So you have those 2 pieces of evidence, and now you can take whatever I say next with however much credence you want to give it. I don't think it's going to work, guys.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to work, because the reason that Michael Malone is no longer the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, the reason that he became the wrong coach as quickly as he did, was a steadfast refusal to trust young basketball players. A steadfast refusal to develop. And look, it's not like he was totally wrong. Like, oh, yeah, you don't want to play Hunter Tyson? Yeah, don't play Hunter Tyson. He stinks. Don't play Zeke Naji. He stinks. But Malone always trusted veterans over young players, and they had a personality clash with the general manager at the time, Calvin Booth, who got fired the same day Malone did last year, because Booth wanted to draft a bunch of young guys and keep the team young around the expensive veterans. And that's not what Michael Malone wanted on the roster. He wanted veteran players that he felt like he could trust, especially when he's trying to go win a championship. So there was a clash of personalities, and the Nuggets resulted by firing both guys. And time will tell whether that was the right decision or not. But the whole thing is, Michael Malone's kind of a hardo, very intense. He's a holler guy. He'll get in your face. And he didn't have a lot of patience for the mistakes and the unreliability of young players. And now he's going to college. That's all you got, brother. That's all you got. Young guys. And North Carolina's not going to get out of the business of recruiting 5-star freshmen. They're not going to all of a sudden decide, oh, we're going to bring in a bunch of 4th and 5th year seniors for this guy. They're not getting out of the high school game for Michael Malone. So it doesn't feel like it's going to be a great fit. And it's a strange marriage in the first place. Like, Malone was obviously not North Carolina's first choice. And I think it's very instructive. I think if you're watching this as a Kansas basketball fan, you have to be thanking your lucky stars that Bill Self said, yeah, I'm coming back for 2026-27. Because if TJ Otzelberger was digging his heels into the turf in Ames, and Tommy Lloyd's digging his heels into the turf in Tucson, and Dusty May's digging his heels into the turf in Ann Arbor in the very short term, now who's to say that maybe over the course of a year, if you happen to know that Bill Self maybe isn't going to be the coach after 2026-27, maybe you can start the process of greasing those skids a little beforehand. But yeah, I'm thinking out loud, and I'm not being coy. I don't have any inside information for you. But the quick turnaround trying to hire guys who were deep in the NCAA tournament, that obviously didn't work for North Carolina. They had to get somebody in because the portal was about to open, which means they couldn't wait on Billy Donovan. And Billy Donovan didn't want to leave his dead-end NBA job to take that job?
Look, I gave my thoughts on this the other night. I don't think he would have. He doesn't want to coach in the NCAA. He doesn't want to have to deal with it.
I guess not. And the Bulls did turn around and fire his bosses, director of player personnel, and the GM. They turned around and fired those guys yesterday. So that might have been Billy Donovan going to the Bulls like, hey, you got to make some changes around me, otherwise I'm getting out of here.
Well, I didn't realize
that could have been the leverage he used instead of an extension, which he already got before this past year.
Well, so I was about that extension. I didn't realize. So I was talking to our resident Bulls fan and Chicago native, Brendan Dorzinski, in the office.
Bulls fan, also resident Bulls hater. I don't know anybody who hates the Bulls more than Brendan. I also don't know anybody who loves them more than he does, which is kind of hand in hand.
Nobody knew he got this extension last summer. Not even the best beat writer on the beat.
Yeah.
They just kind of secretly gave him a contract extension last summer.
So, yeah. So they couldn't get Donovan, which by all accounts, it was Lloyd or Donovan were the top two choices at North Carolina. They didn't get Lloyd. They didn't get Donovan. And flirted with Dusty May. That didn't go anywhere. Reportedly had some conversation with Scott Drew that didn't really go anywhere. And then they turn around and they hire a guy has not coached in college basketball in 25 years and whose daughter is a student athlete at the school. They just turn around and, he was around.
Yeah.
And the AD knows him. And, well, let's just call and see if he might be interested. And then it became, well, let's hope he's interested, because if he's not, I'm going to have to go hire Mark Byington. And I don't think our fans are going to really dig us poaching the coach from Vanderbilt. We're in North Carolina. We're supposed to be above that. So they go and they hire another proven success at the professional level. This isn't quite the Bill Belichick hire, which North Carolina football obviously made. For one, as far as I'm aware, Michael Malone's significant other is age appropriate. So there's that right off the bat. But also, Malone is really well respected, widely respected. A lot of North Carolina guys respect him. He's a guy that's connected with a lot of different players. Players in the NBA that have been viewed as being difficult to deal with have really liked playing for Michael Malone. Boogie Cousins in Sacramento. Russell Westbrook in Denver. Guys with mercurial personalities or offbeat personalities have all really rallied around and really enjoyed playing for Mike Malone. LeBron James is a big Michael Malone fan. So he's got the ability to connect with people. And obviously, if you're North Carolina, you think you put the weight of a Division I operation behind him. You get him a staff with some college experience, hire a general manager, and maybe he's a good enough tactician that things will work out. But personality-wise, college doesn't feel like a fit for Michael Malone. And that would be my concern as far as it goes for North Carolina. So I'd say I'm rooting for his success. Like I love Michael Malone. I hate North Carolina basketball. This is very conflicting for me, but I'm a little concerned. I'm concerned that the college game is not the right fit for a personality like Michael Malone. Like maybe it would have been at some other date, but yeah. I don't think this is ideal. And I think if you're Kansas, you're thinking, man, glad we didn't have to pull together a slapdash coaching search this year. That would have maybe ended with us having to hire our fifth choice. Kansas can feel pretty good that Bill Self is coming back. That's really all the headlines we got today. Like I said, it's a really slow news day. Is there anything else noteworthy?
A little bit noteworthy. I'm not going to read off all the prospects from KU and K-State, but the Chiefs worked out 37 prospects during their local pro day, including Topeka's own Des Purnell.
Okay.
And Deshaun Hanukkah. They worked out at the Chiefs local pro day.
Very cool. Yeah, the local pro day doesn't count against your 30 visits. You can bring in as many guys as you want. So it's a really easy way for teams to kind of have access, maybe see if there might be a diamond or two in the rough.
Also,
a lot of those guys end up getting camp invites, get on the 90, show up for the rookie camp, get a rookie camp invite. So definitely worth tracking that and always pulling for our local guys.
Jaron Bradley,
yeah.
K-State, former K-State wide receiver.
Went by JB. Yeah.
He is listed as a tight end by the Chiefs. A little note there.
Maybe-
Besides that, nothing else new. Really
I think that kind of makes sense. He's a pretty big wide receiver. So, yeah, I could see that. I could see that making some sense. Of the guys on this list that are likely draft picks, like guys who you feel like are going to get drafted, certainly Sam Heck at Kansas State. Yeah, a lot of people think he's the best center in the draft, and he's probably going day 2. Jalen Daniels certainly has a chance to get drafted. He was at the workout. Emmanuel Henderson, the receiver out of Kansas, I think could get drafted. An interesting name to know among the tight ends, John Michael Gillenborg out of Wyoming. He went to Rockhurst High School, so he was a local talent in that way and got the invite to the camp, and that's a chance for the Chiefs to get a look at him. I think he's probably a guy who gets drafted, so that's a name I think to keep an eye on as well. VJ Payne is, I think, going to get drafted. He was at the workout too, so that was noteworthy. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Just
came across the old timeline.
Yeah,
the headlines.
Yeah, that just came out. So perfect timing on that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do a little Random Question Tuesday next here on 580 Sports Talk. .534 on 580 Sports Talk. Final half hour or so of the show today. If you missed the keyword this hour for our Win 1K a Day sweepstakes, the word is grow, G-R-O-W, grow. So you can text that number to 785-272-9429. Get yourself registered for a chance to win $1,000 today here from 580 WIBW. Random Question Tuesday time. Spencer, I never let you go first, so I'm going to let you go first today. What do you got for Random Question Tuesday?
All right. What is one player you got behind enough to buy a jersey and he just didn't pan out?
Player who I got behind all the way in on, like a young player or like a free agent signing, like
anything. Like on any of the teams that you follow, where you bought, like when you were younger and you bought jerseys.
Sure.
I mean, people
Yeah, I'm not
a big jersey buyer past your early 20s.
I don't want to say you can't be. No, I just think that you do get to a point where
I'm not wearing my jersey to work all the time.
Right.
When I was in high school,
I was a huge
to wear it.
Yeah, I was a huge jersey guy in high school.
Yeah,
I used to wear them every day if I could. I had a bunch of random. Like, you would not have believed what was in my closet in high school. Did I have a Torrey Hunter Twins jersey? Yup. Was I a huge Twins fan? No, I just thought Torrey Hunter was cool. I had Troy Gloss Angels jersey. Was I an Angels fan? No. Troy Gloss made a fan out of me. They won that World Series. So anyway, yeah, I used to be totally would buy him at random. But as far as buying one and then being
like thinking this guy was going to be good,
and
then they kind of just,
and then they weren't.
Yeah,
I don't really have one like I guess the closest thing was I was a big Reggie Bush fan in college. It's one of my favorite players to watch in college. I always kind of liked USC, just like their whole aesthetic, like the uniform, the fight song, the history of that program. And I was a huge Reggie Bush fan. Like I stayed in that Saturday night to watch that game against Fresno State. You know the one. You know the play.
Yeah.
He gets to the sideline and like enters bullet time like the Matrix and cuts back all the way across the field. I was a huge Reggie Bush fan. So when he got drafted by the Saints, I bought a Reggie Bush Saints jersey. And like Reggie Bush had a nice career. He did. He had a good, long NFL career. Was he ever a superstar? No. So I guess that would be the closest answer I could give you on that question. The guy who, I went out and I bought the jersey and it didn't quite live up to my expectations for that play. I don't have a story like, I went out and like bought a Emmanuel Mudiay Nuggets jersey and immediately regretted my $180 or whatever. What's your answer?
So obviously this formidable time in my years, I was 11. Sean Taylor had just passed away. The then Redskins really needed to find somebody to pair with Laron Landry before we knew he was on roids and whatever.
I think we always kind of knew.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but before,
that body was not natural.
I was 11 years old, 10 years old. I didn't think that whatever.
Sure.
So Washington, I believe, drafted. Let me get this straight so I don't mess this up. I believe they drafted him they drafted in the 7th round out of UCLA. There used to be a team store at the outlet mall 5 minutes from my house. I used to go all the time. I have a Sean Taylor Pro Bowl jersey from the year in which he didn't end up playing because he had passed, where they had voted him in and sold all the jerseys. So I have that framed up and whatever. But then I got rolling on this young guy out of UCLA named Chris Horton, number 48.
Okay.
In 2008, he played 14 games, started 10. He had 3 interceptions, a fumble recovery, a sack, 5 tackles for loss. I was like, this guy's going to be real good the next few years. So I bought the jersey at the store, down the street from my house.
Sure.
Dude went on to play 15 more games.
No.
After that season.
That's tough.
I have no more interceptions.
That's tough.
Started
Not even a full season.
But he is relevant still. He's associate head coach and special teams coordinator for the Giants.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? All right.
I did hit on that.
Okay. Every now and again you go to like I go to whenever I go to a Royals game, I always see baseball in particular. I think you see it in football too. You see the jersey and you wonder, all right, did you get that ironically, or did you get that like fully expecting that was going to be a good investment in that player's, in being that player's fan? Like the guy in the Christian Cologne jersey, like, did you buy that because you thought he was going to be like the long-term answer at shortstop for the Royals, or did you buy that like after the fact because like did have the huge hit in the in some huge hits in the playoffs? Those were Christian Cologne's moments. Did you buy it because of that, or did you buy it because like you thought he was going to be awesome, and then like 3 years later he's not on the team anymore? The Jimmy Gobble jersey that I saw once. Did you buy that because you thought he and Zach Greinke were going to be at the front of the Royals rotation for a decade, or did you just love his name and then after the fact you got some money together and were like, it'd be a funny jersey to wear that would get me a lot of like high fives and backslaps? Jimmy Gobble. Like this is a true story. So the first time I went to Kauffman Stadium, this would have been August of 2004. And 2003 was a good year for the Royals. It was a surprise good year for the Royals. They went 83-79. They were in contention in the Central till the final year. Tony Pena won Manager of the Year. 2004 was not much as far as encores go. It was a disaster, and everything was bad, and the vibes were terrible by the time I made it out to the K in August of 2004. And I remember the cover of the game program, which I still have. It's in my mom's basement back in Colorado, is Jimmy Gobble and Zach Greinke. And the cover says G-Force. Like, that was going to be it. It was going to be those two and Jeremy Affeldt at the top of the Royals rotation. And it just goes to show you, like, that's like the full scale, the possible outcomes for pitching prospects, right? Like, Greinke's going to the Hall of Fame. Jeremy Affeldt had a really nice career as a serviceable left-handed reliever. And, well, I couldn't tell you what Jimmy Gobble did. He was there, and then he was gone. And that's how things go. It's not in the spirit of your question, but the most random jersey purchase that I ever made was definitely my Eduardo Nájera Nuggets jersey. I loved Eddie. It was like the 8th guy off the bench on those Nuggets teams with Carmelo in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Maybe the least athletic NBA player you've ever seen. Like, he was a really good player at Oklahoma, Eduardo Nájera. People listening of a certain vintage will remember Nájera at Oklahoma. He was a really good college player. He had bad knees, and he was pretty much shot athletically by the time he got to the NBA. Like, I don't think he could jump over a piece of paper, but he was like the dirty work guy. He was the garbage time guy, and he would, he'd make the tough play. He'd get the offensive rebound. He'd keep a possession alive. He was an easy guy to like. And I did. They sold his jersey in the team store. It was the alternate jersey, too, that nobody, unless you're a diehard fan, remembers them wearing. And I've got the Easy Eddie Nájera jersey. He was one of my favorites.
I had this wasn't random because I knew he wasn't that good. I just loved his name. And I think I've talked about this on the show. My dad and I would say his name. Steve Lombardozzi.
Yeah, his dad played in the major leagues.
I had a jersey.
Oh,
the Nats somehow made a jersey in late 2012 when he was coming off the bench all the time.
I
bought it.
I love the utility guy or the post, the clearance rack jersey purchase. That's always a winner. I've gotten some good ones for the Rockies. I've gotten some good discount shirt. My Gerardo Parra Rockies jersey was 4 years after his career with the Rockies.
My favorite pastime to do when you're early for a game is to go to the team store or the adjacent thing where they have the I just want a jersey. I don't care who it is. Here are these authentic jerseys of players that are no longer on the team that we're just trying to clear out. That's my favorite thing to do in a ballpark. Just see the names. If you can try to remember the guys as you're combing through, oh yeah, was he in their spring training? Oh, they signed him for a week and then he decided to retire, or they DFA'd him in late April.
Proof positive that there's nothing that unites all of us, no matter who we root for, no matter what walk of life we come from. There is nothing that unites us like remembering guys.
Yeah.
We all love to remember guys. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll remember the Royals 2-1 loss to the Guardians from earlier today. It won't be pleasant, but we'll do it on 580 Sports Talk. Want to remember a couple more guys real quick?
Why not?
I sat behind a young lady at a Royals game once wearing an Aaron Giles jersey. Number 45. Corner outfielder, one good year. You got a guy? Want to remember a guy just for fun?
Oh, I'm trying to think here.
Could be any guy.
Any guy. Jan Vesley.
Jan Vesley. Well, lottery pick for the Wizards, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
who
man.
Didn't turn out.
Was he the one?
That's back when I was like in tune to be a fan. And then I realized every year it just got worse.
Was he the one that like French kissed his girlfriend on the red carpet when he got drafted?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
I think that was, yeah, he was the one that like went for it with his girl on the carpet. I remember.
Eva Koduskova.
Sure. Yeah. Let's remember some guys' girlfriends. See, that's fun. Always fun to remember a guy. Speaking of things that are not worth remembering, a very forgettable 2-1 loss for the Royals in Cleveland today. The game-winning hit from Brian Rocchio off of John Schreiber in the 9th inning. Schreiber allowed a pair of hits sandwiched around a walk to allow the winning run to score with 1 out in the 9th, spoiling a strong effort from Noah Cameron and 2 relievers that came before him. 2 strong starts for Cameron to start the year. Walk in his 5 2/3 innings. Allowed 6 hits, but kept them scattered. 2 strong starts again for Cameron to start the year. Problem for the Royals was they had 1 hit. 1 hit, 1 run. You don't win a lot of games when that is the case. Carter Jensen had the hit and the run and the RBI, his 3rd home run of the year, 2nd home run in as many days. Tattooed a ball to right field. Look, early season looks like the projections about Jensen were right on target. He can come up. He can be impactful with the bat for the Royals. But right now, the biggest thing for the Royals, like I can throw, some analytics. I can throw some advanced data at you that feels encouraging. I can also throw you the runners in scoring position data that doesn't feel very encouraging right now. But the bottom line is this, man. Bobby Witt Jr. doesn't have an extra base hit. Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez are underneath the Mendoza line. There's only but so much offense you're going to get on a day-to-day basis when those guys aren't going. This was true in 2024, and it's true in 2026. Your big dogs got to eat. The big dogs have to eat, and so far, that is not happening. So anything positive that might be happening with regards to the Royals lineup, like Jensen's breakout, Caglione was 0 for 4 with 3 Ks today, but it been off to a better start than that. Jonathan India's getting on base, had the big day yesterday with the 3 runs driven in.
Kyle Isbell's
hitting 429. Yeah, like Michael Garcia also took the hat trick today, 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, but he's off to a really good start too. There's a lot of other things that are like varying degrees of encouraging going on with the Royals lineup. But if Witt, Pasquantino, and Perez are all coming up blanks, really, really hard to count on being able to put crooked numbers on the board and being able to win games. Those guys got to get rolling, and they will. Like, look, we've seen enough to know what these guys are. The back of the baseball card doesn't lie. Salvador Perez warms up with the weather. It was 30 degrees out there today. Not a great day for Sal. Vinny will get going. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have an extra base hit, I think, at some point this year. He might get a double. It could happen tomorrow. He had a hit yesterday. It was 116 miles an hour off the bat. One of the hardest hit balls of the season so far. He's seeing it. He's squaring it up. Part of it is you're running into some good pitching early this season. Like Gavin Williams, the guy they faced today, is legitimately excellent.
Well, the Brewers are off to such a hot start that their pitching's really good.
Yes, the Brewers' pitching's really good. They make you swing and miss. They get you into tough counts. Royals hitters, I talked about this at the very top of the show. This is a Royals lineup that does a good job collectively staying off of bad pitches. A top 10 chase rate in the league. They don't swing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. That's good. But right now, they're just not doing a lot of damage on pitches in the strike zone. And the end result is they end up in a lot of 2-strike counts. Like Bobby Witt Jr. is living in 2-strike counts right now. And it's hard to hit when you got 2 strikes.
I've got a situation here. So Kyle Isbell goes 0 for 1 today with 2 walks. So he turns the lineup over twice, right? Getting on base twice.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Garcia goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
That's tough. Yeah.
Like, there's offense potential right there.
Yeah.
Like, you have a guy on base, and the guy, he turns the lineup over for you, gets on base, but then he strikes out 3 times.
Yeah, that's a tough day for Michael.
Tough.
We both got it wrong. We both owe a quarter in the jar. It's Michael.
I've heard it every which way in the last month, so I'm just gonna say it whatever way I feel like saying it at the time.
All right. Well, I as the keeper of the jar and the enforcer of the jar, we both owe money in the jar.
Okay, but Royals.tv even saying Michael.
I'm just telling you what Michael Garcia has said himself. So I don't know. I'm at a loss with that one too. Just like the Royals offense was at a loss today.
Yeah.
We'll take a break, come back. Final segment is the final word on 580 Sports Talk. We're about done here on 580 Sports Talk, but first, a final word on this Tuesday. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, if you're, just looking at the portal, I did not anticipate the way things are taking shape. Obviously, for Kansas State, I expected a lot of turnover in a situation where Jerome Tang brought these players to the school and they had a new head coach. But at KU, while some of it may be about money, Jamari McDowell went on Instagram today and said, no, it's not about money. He wants to play somewhere else, I guess. He's shown his time to KU with what he's stayed there through. But it's a weird day in Lawrence, seeing all the guys at the portal.
Final word for me today. Salute to Michigan. Hail to the victors, the national champions of men's college basketball. Long time coming for the program. Long time coming for the Big Ten Conference, and very validating of the college basketball season we just saw. Michigan was one of the best teams. It turned out the best team from start to finish. Their head coach, Dusty May, might be generational at this. He really, really might. We probably should have seen that coming when he took Florida Atlantic, a team with no resources, to a Final Four, and then got everybody to come back for another year to try it again the year after that. He's a special coach. That much is readily apparent now. He's a national championship coach. And you look at the Michigan roster and you see 5 starters who all transferred to Michigan. They're the first team ever to start 5 transfers and win a national championship. And it goes to show that the portal's not evil. It's not even a necessary evil. The portal is how you build a team. It's like free agency in football, in pro sports. That's what you have to look at it like. It is free agency. And to build a roster through free agency, yes, you have to get great players. You have to get big-time guys, all-American types like Yaxel Lendeborg, or guys with really unique skill sets like Ade Mara, who's 7'2". I guess that's his unique skill. But you also have to get guys who fit together, who buy in, who create culture. We talk a lot about culture in college basketball. Yeah, it's important, but guys can come in and create their own, like Melvin Council did at Kansas this year. It can be done. You can find the right players, you can build the right kind of team, and you can win big. And maybe that's a note of hope for Kansas fans who hope to see their team return to the upper echelon of college basketball next season, that it can be done through the portal. Michigan did it, and they're the champions of the world. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk today. We're back tomorrow following Royals baseball in some form or fashion. 3:06 as the game ends early, and we'll be on after the Royals game if it ends late. Until then, for Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.